Hello everyone and welcome on back to the channel. The new balance patch has shook up the game and has shook up my experience with PvP in such a positive manner, particularly with Druid, that I have to come and make a dedicated video about the impact of Druid in PvP and also touch base on some more general changes. First and foremost, let's talk about some of the single target elements of Druid, and I actually have a little pre-recorded segment, so let's head on over there. But the actual weapon changes and the way that these ally target abilities have been integrated have been rather unfortunate and not to the best of its ability. Okay. Bring them up a little bit. Okay, yeah, definitely take a lot of damage. I need them to take a lot of damage. Not the poison, though. The poison's gonna throw me off my game. Okay, so they're at 80%. Let me see how much healing this does. It instantly starts the healing, which is something. 138, 138, 138. I still wish like it was stronger, but I'm imagining that whoever is around, if they are struck and dealt damage, it's not going to, heal the target up for more. It's gonna be about the same. Yeah, it's just the same. So you're getting that added benefit of that damage up front. Let's try that again. Well, boom. 670, 670. Yeah, it's about the same. So you're really gonna want to prioritize just doing damage still. That's what's really unfortunate, is like these ally target abilities, or giving the ability to target an ally, are rather lackluster because you're actually still getting way more value out of these abilities by just simply targeting a foe. And with the increased radius, it's already going to be so much more beneficial to be hitting a target, because this is a fairly forgiving radius of 300. In the very niche scenario that you're trying to heal an ally who's a bit further away and not near any allies, and you're gonna want to try to save them, this healing is not going to make you feel like you're actively saving them. It's gonna give them what, like 1,800 healing, which is minuscule, which is nothing. It's crumbs, especially if they're at low health. So very disappointed. And even with the auto attack, you're not going to be using this to heal up an ally because the healing is so good. I recorded my very first impressions of the changes. Of course, we have the solar beam change that came in a few weeks ago, and then now the astral wisp change, allowing you to target an ally. To sum everything up, the single target abilities for Druid don't feel impactful. It really doesn't feel like you have any reason to target an ally other than those very fringe scenarios. But even then, you're really not going to affect change. And especially in PvP. When we look at the PvP numbers, the competitive numbers and tuning for these abilities of Solar Beam and Astral Wisp, you're getting like 50 to 70 healing on your auto attack if you're targeting an ally for your Solar Beam, and on Astral Wisp, you're getting like 400, 500 healing, and you're not really getting a moment to shine where you feel like you have made a decision that is going to change the outcome of that specific ally. You're really better off just hitting those enemies in most scenarios because the damage is so much higher on those abilities. And I looked at the Spectre, and I'm still slightly in wonderment why they didn't take the route of Spectre, where they split the damage and the healing / support potentials of the skills to allow you to feel like you are that more classic single target. I'm choosing an ally to heal, and you're getting use out of it. And then if you want to select an enemy, you then select an enemy to start dealing some more damage. But nevertheless, I really hope that they go back to Druid and take a second look at their decisions around these skills. But that is just the surface of the changes. The rest of the Druid changes are really beloved by me, in my heart and my mind. So 95% of the changes for Druid are a resounding positive. So let's get into those, and we're going to be looking at this through the lens of PvP. Now let's start with all of the glyphs. Now the glyphs have not been reduced in duration or in cooldown in PvP to my knowledge. That's only in PvE. However, one glyph has been reduced in its cooldown, and that's the elite Glyph of Stars. Now, I really want to hone in onto this ability because I absolutely adore it now, but I also have to be realistic and give proper feedback and say that this skill is a little too strong at the moment. And I think there are ways to balance it where it wouldn't make it a pick where you'd be like, oh, there's so many other better options. So the way the Glyph of Stars works is that it is a 48-second cooldown, down from 60 seconds, down from a minute. And it now pulses stability on the non-celestial avatar form and also while you're in celestial avatar. They also have allowed you to remove conditions when you're out of CA, and then while you're in CA, you're of course still providing those delicious boons. But you're also getting a 12% revive on this ability, where if any allies are downed in the area, they're going to be revived 12% each pulse, and it's 6 pulses. So that's a lot of percentages. This is almost a full revive. And in most situations, if you are able to cast this pretty quickly, you'll get an ally up in the blink of an eye. How do I actually feel about this specific elite and the changes? Well, first and foremost, it's a lot of fun to use as it no longer has a channeled tied to it. So you're able to just pop it down in a location and then go about doing other celestial avatar stuff and, using other glyphs. So that's great. However, when I look at the stability on this skill, I don't believe that it needs to be on the celestial avatar version of it. The celestial avatar version is already giving you that revive percentage. You're already reviving downed allies. You're providing good heals. Adding stability to this doesn't feel necessary. Now, when you're out of celestial avatar, I think it would be cool to have this skill provide that stability so that the druid has an extra choice to make. Do I want to use the non-CA version to grant stability to my allies and myself so that we can persist in combat and not be CC chained? Or do I want to wait and use this in celestial avatar to get that revive off? As it is right now, having stability baseline is a little too powerful in my opinion. Also, with the strength of that res being 12% with each pulse, it's a little wild that their cooldown was reduced to 48 seconds. In competitive modes, it feels like a flat minute, a flat 60 seconds is more than fine for this elite skill. It also is an elite skill, so treat it accordingly and not just make it like a 30-second cooldown. But I really appreciate the glyph changes, and I think they are really fun. While they still persist as they are in this current form, I highly recommend going and playing Druid and using this elite skill. You'll be able to save 1 or 2 allies if they happen to go down on a point very easily, and you'll get stability while that revive is going off. So you're able to then walk up, press F, and start reviving them even more. And then in terms of other celestial avatar changes, the Seed of Life change, its increased radius, and also its activation time being reduced is really useful, so you don't have to wait around as much. They also got rid of the cast time, which I actually didn't really realize when I was first using this ability. So you can actually spam your auto attack, your 3rd ability, your 4th ability, your 5th ability, and activate your Seed of Life at the same time. It doesn't interrupt your cast times on any of your other abilities, to my knowledge. So it actually is pretty useful, and I've had to slightly tweak my rotation. You now have to usually, to cleanse conditions with this, you'll have to press your 3rd ability first, and then press your 2nd ability and spawn that Seed of Life light field. So change your rotation a little bit, but you'll still get the use of that condition cleanse. In addition to all of the glyph changes, we have some trait changes. First and foremost, Natural Mender now having a flat healing increase is amazing. You no longer have to chase those healing buffs and healing modifiers. And then the king of the changes for this patch, in my opinion, is giving energy generation baseline on Natural Mender. So now you don't have to take any specific traits while you are a druid, you're always going to be generating a passive amount of celestial avatar energy so that you can get into celestial avatar form more quickly. And it has greatly impacted my playstyle in PvP. I'm able to swap into celestial avatar so much more quickly and so much more frequently. Even when I was playing druid back in the day, there were times where it just took so long to generate that celestial avatar where I was only using it like once every like 2-3 minutes. It felt like it was very far and few between. So having this passive generation is a godsend. It is one of the best changes for this patch. And also we have a few other changes. Verdant Etching. I want to talk about this a little bit because this trait, to me, feels a little lackluster. As a healer, your master tier now, there really doesn't feel like there is a great option to take, particularly in PvE. Now in PvP, it is somewhat useful because protection might not be up all the time, but when it comes to PvE game modes, protection is, for the most part, always rolling on people, and it doesn't stack in intensity, so it's not like you're getting any more use out of this by, applying extra protection. You're just increasing the duration, but so many people in so many professions are able to just max out that protection already, and this trait just kind of feels like a dud. It feels like there's no real choice in this tier that feels impactful or informative of a playstyle in PvE. So I would personally love to see alacrity be put into this as well, at least in PvE, where when you activate a glyph, you're granting that protection and then you'll grant a small amount of alacrity. I also think that it would free up some of the spirit playstyles because that is just so boring. I'm really not fond of the spirit playstyle where you just sit there and go through cast times of cycling your spirits to teleport to you, even though you might not want them to teleport to you. And, the glyphs in general. In the same vein, to quickly loop back to Glyph of Stars, instead of stability on Celestial Avatar, I think I'd much prefer to see alacrity on that, but that's just me. So that's pretty much it for Druid. The gameplay of the Druid feels so much more like a playstyle that I want to play, and I've been longing for in Guild Wars 2, where I'm able to stay at ranged and take note of what is happening on the battlefield and triage my allies accordingly, using my second ability every once in a while on my ally if I feel like it, because it is now a feature. Even though I'm not really going to be able to save them with that ability, it feels cool to be able to target an ally. And then with your Celestial Avatar being more accessible, I'm able to dip into there and then use all of my big healing abilities. I still believe that the auto attack on Celestial Avatar, if you have an ally targeted, it should just fire on them, because it is so difficult to get consistent procs of this ability because its radius is so small. You have a cast time, people are always moving, so it's just not the most convenient and user-friendly ability in the game right now. But other than that, Druid is a standout. If you have not played Druid in some time, go play Druid. I'm very interested to see how all of these changes feel in PvE, as I have not taken it into PvE yet, but I think they'll feel pretty fine. But thank you everyone for coming on by with this little dissection video of overall review of the Druid. We will see how the reaction is and how the meta starts to shift in a week or two maybe, but thank you all for coming on by. Like the video if you liked it. Comment below your thoughts about the Druid and all of its changes. Of course, there were other Ranger changes. And if you'd like to support the channel, head on over to Patreon. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you. Catch me on Twitch every day of the week playing some Guild Wars 2 and Overwatch 2. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.